Section 79. Mahamate Bodhisattva once more asked the Buddha, "Followers of other paths all give rise to projections of impermanence. The Bhagavan also teaches that all phenomena are impermanent, that they arise and they cease. What does this mean? Is this wrong or is this right? And how many kinds of impermanence are there?" The Buddha told Mahamate, "Followers of other paths have 7 kinds of impermanence, none of which are taught by me. And what are the 7? Some say impermanence is when something is created and then abandoned. Some say impermanence is the destruction of shape. Some say impermanence is form. Some say impermanence is the process during which form changes, and that because it involves an uninterrupted dissolution, like the transformation of milk to curds, the process of change is imperceptible, but that impermanence destroys whatever is there. Some say impermanence is something that exists. Some say impermanence is something that exists and does not exist. And some say impermanence is something that does not arise, but is inherent in all phenomena. Mahamate, according to impermanence as something that exists and does not exist, the individual characteristics of the 4 elements and what they comprise are destroyed. But the self-existence of the 4 elements is imperceptible and does not arise. According to impermanence as something that does not arise, neither the existence nor non-existence of anything arises, and even the most careful analysis yield nothing, neither permanence nor impermanence. This is the meaning of what does not arise, not of what does arise. This is what characterizes impermanence as something that does not arise. Those who don't understand this fall prey to the view of followers of other paths, that impermanence is something that arises. Mahamate, as for impermanence being something that exists, this is a projection of one's own mind, and not of the existence of permanence or impermanence. What does this mean? It means that the existence of impermanence itself is not destroyed. Mahamate, the non-existence of what exists is the result of impermanence. Except for impermanence, there is nothing that can cause what exists not to exist. It is like a club, or a roof tile, or a rock. It breaks things. Clearly, it is no different for anything else. For in terms of existence and impermanence, there is no difference between cause and effect. If this is impermanence, and this is the effect, and there is no difference between cause and effect, then everything that exists would be permanent, as nothing would exist as a cause. Mahamate, the non-existence of what exists does have a cause, but not one fools are aware of. A cause does not produce an unrelated effect. If it did, anything that exists could be impermanence. And if the effect were unrelated, there would be no difference between cause and effect, even though they were clearly different. In the case of impermanence as something that exists, this would amount to the existence of an effect-producing cause. But if that were so, whatever exists would never end. If everything that exists amounted to an effect-producing cause, then impermanence itself would be impermanent. And because impermanence would be impermanent, everything that exists would not be impermanent, but permanent. As for impermanence being inherent in whatever exists, this is contradicted by the 3 periods of time. Either it is destroyed along with past forms, or it does not arise in the future, because such forms do not arise, or it is destroyed along with present forms. Forms are different combinations of the 4 elements, and the essential nature of the 4 elements and what they comprise is not subject to destruction, as it neither varies nor does it not vary. But while according to followers of other paths the 4 elements are indestructible, it is common knowledge that the 4 elements and all the forms they comprise throughout the 3 realms arise and cease to exist. Where then do the followers of such paths conceive of impermanence as existing apart from the four elements and what they comprise, if the four elements do not arise and their essential nature is not subject to destruction? As for impermanence existing apart from initial creation, there are no other four elements than the four elements, because among the individual characteristics of their different characteristics, no differences can be found. Since they don't differ, they don't create something that does. This kind of impermanence, you should know, involves the non-arising of dualities. As for impermanence being the destruction of shape, this means that the four elements and what they comprise are not destroyed. They are never destroyed. Mahamate, if one analyzes objects into the finest particles, one observes their destruction, as the shapes of the four elements and what they comprise cannot avoid appearing to differ in terms of their dimensions. But this is not true of the four elements. The four elements are not destroyed. It is the shapes that appear to be destroyed. This falls under the doctrine of the Samkhyas. As for impermanence consisting in form, this means form itself is impermanence. But what is impermanent are shapes, not the four elements. If the four elements were impermanent, this would deny worldly convention. The denial of worldly convention falls under the doctrines of the Lokayatas, who view whatever exists as nothing but words and individual characteristics as not arising. As for impermanence consisting in change, this means that the existence of form appears to differ, not the four elements. For example, when we use gold to make ornaments, its appearance changes, but the nature of gold is not destroyed. It is only the ornaments that are subject to destruction. Thus, changes in whatever else exists are also like this. Such are the various views of impermanence held by followers of other paths, who imagine that when fire destroys the four elements, their individual characteristics are not destroyed. If their individual characteristics were destroyed, the four elements and what they comprise would cease to exist. Mahamate, my teaching is that what arises is neither permanent nor impermanent. And how so? Because external existence cannot be determined, I teach that the three realms are nothing but mind, and do not teach the arising or ceasing of their different characteristics. As for the four elements coming together and differentiating, the four elements and what they comprise are projections of the duality of subject and object. By understanding that dualistic views are projections, one gets free from the dualistic views of external existence and non-existence, and one sees them as nothing but perceptions of one's own mind. Projections arise when you think about doing something, not when you do nothing. Avoid the projections of the existence or non-existence of the mind. All mundane, metaphysical, and transcendent dharmas are neither permanent nor impermanent. Those who fail to perceive them as merely perceptions of their own mind end up attached to erroneous, dualistic views. But because followers of other paths do not perceive them as their own projections, such fools have no means by which to know that all mundane, metaphysical, and transcendent dharmas are the result of their own projection of words. This is not something fools are aware of. The Bhagavan then repeated the meaning of this in verse.
Something separate from what is created, differences of shape, impermanence of form or existence, these are what other schools see. In the indestructibility of what exists, the persistence of the elements, other schools see impermanence, immersed in a myriad views. For all such schools as these, there is no arising or cessation. But if the elements last forever, what does impermanence mean? Everything is nothing but mind. From this dualities flow. Among the grasping and the grasped, there is no self or its possessions. From Brahma's heaven to the roots of trees, throughout their world encircling branches, What I teach is this. It is all nothing but mind.